my side business, Google Advertising. I manage Google Ads for small business owners, and I help them with that. I help them navigate that space, that online digital space that might be foreign to them, or they're just not familiar with because it's not their industry. And I help them with that. That's my goal there. I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see my PowerPoint that I have. Let's make sure it should switch over so can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so now let's get this in the PowerPoint mode. Okay, everybody can see that?
Mhm.
Awesome. So when I was going to do this in person, I had a small activity plan that I think would have been fun for everybody and could have been interactive. And unfortunately, with doing this online, it doesn't work out as well. But I'm going to do the short version of it. So I've been collecting these flyers that come to me in the mail, and you can see the stack is pretty thick. It's been, a month's worth of flyers that come to me in the mail from small business owners. There's all kinds of stuff in here, from plumbing, electrician, realtors, lawn maintenance, dentists, and they're all in here because I've been collecting them. I need a volunteer, so if anybody wants to volunteer, unmute yourself or give a wave, shout out. I don't see any takers. I might pick on somebody I know, like Lynn or Sally. Lynn, would you be up to helping me out for a second?
I'm here for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Lynn. Okay, so I'm going to pick one of these advertisements that I got at random. And then Lynn, you and I are going to talk about it. All right, so I'm just kind of mixing them up. And all right. We got the dental care. It's for dental implants. Now, Kim, do you need dental implants?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
So this probably came to your house and you don't even need dental implants, correct?
Right. I would have seen the dental implant in large letters in the top corner and thrown it in the trash.
Yeah, me too. And this came to my house. So this business owner, and it doesn't really matter who it is, they just made these flyers and then they sent them to a list of houses, and they don't even know if that residence needs their service. And these are costly. We can ask Sally, because I think that she has a good grasp on how much these are, but they can run upwards of $400 a run for a stack of them. And the return on them is not great. So you run them, you send them to residents, and usually you might get 1 or 2 calls from it. So it's just, and you don't even know if you're sending it to a person that actually needs that service. So my question is, and it's something I want you guys to be thinking about while we go through this presentation, is wouldn't it be great if the person you were advertising to actually needed your service? And that's one of the things that Google Ads is really great at, is it's connecting the consumer with the service provider. So what I'm doing is the consumer is already looking for you, and I'm just connecting the business owner with that consumer. So with that, I feel like it would have been much better in person if we could have all participated. Unfortunately, this space just doesn't give way to that. That's okay. We improvised, which is exactly what digital advertising is. So we'll move through here, and then I'll just see if you have questions towards the end, and I can answer them all together at the end. So these are the things I'm going to go through. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about myself, what digital advertising is. We're going to talk about Google Ads, what they are, and the differences between some of the other online advertising that is available, and then what I do specifically to manage Google Ads. So here's my story. This is my family, which Amy was asking about earlier before we even got started here. This is my husband, Steve. We've been together for 8 years, and we have 2 boys. These are all my guys. John is 2. He's this guy right here. Even this picture was taken 4 months ago, over I think back in December. He's already grown more since this picture, so it's amazing to me how fast they grow. John's our blue-eyed blonde guy. He's actually got white hair. It's not even blonde, it's just white. And then this is baby Brett. Baby Brett is what John calls him, baby Brett. His name is actually Brett. But we started calling him Brett because John does. He's 6 months old in this picture, but he's 10 months old right now, and he's just a sweetheart. Watching the 2 of them grow and play together is something I never imagined or would even think of as a mom. That something before you're a mom you don't think about, and then it's a nice little surprise when you are a mom. You get to see it. And it's great having them all there. Our family just exploded in 2 years. We went from 2 to 4 over the course of 2 years. So those are my guys. These are, why I work, why I do what I do, and that's my family. So a little bit about me and my background is I have a degree in mathematics education from Ferris State University. I've been working at a bank and still continue to do so for the last 7 years. It's in the corporate part of the bank, so there's corporate experience there. I own and operate exclusively, so it's just me, the Google Ads business. That's my side business. The overall goal is to transition out of that corporate world into the small business space and have that become my full income at some point. I'm based out of White Lake, which I'm really proud of. I've been here for 3 years now, and I love it. I love our home. I love the community. I love the area. I love that it's close to Milford, which is our downtown, since White Lake doesn't have much of one. I love the community. I love the sense of togetherness. Even during this time, during this pandemic, when you can feel so isolated, it is nice to know that we are still a community, and that we're all there together for each other, and we're all in this together with each other, and that's been really great, especially during this time. And I'm an expert in Google Ads and proficient with data analysis. Okay, well, let's talk about digital advertising. So what exactly is it? Well, basically anything that is being advertised through the internet is digital advertising, and it has all kinds of names: online marketing, internet advertising, digital advertising, web advertising, but basically anything that is delivered to you that is an advertisement and it is delivered through the internet, that's digital advertising. And there's a little timeline here at the bottom. So, oops, I don't know why it's doing that to me. In 1994, AT&T bought their first banner ad. So maybe when you were on a website, you would see the banner ad up at the top. That was the first one in 1994. In 1998, Yahoo started doing advertising on their search engine space. That's the first time we see that. And then in 2000, Google Ads launched their digital advertising for their search engines. So basically, when you type in a search word, oh my gosh, my mouse is gestured and sensitive, so when I touch it, it's changing the slide on me. So Google Ads did their online digital advertising in 2000, starting with 350 clients, which is not very many, especially for Google. And 20 years later, they're up to millions of advertisers. It's just exponentially grown. And it hasn't stopped. It's continuing to grow. And I would imagine that during this pandemic, it's only going to grow even more as we change the way and how we do business, and we move from a physical space to more of a digital space. In 2004, we start seeing advertising in social media, things like Facebook. And then, you know, as we go through the years, we see Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. There's advertising on those spaces as well. And then Google had to change the way that they were doing their advertising online, because in 2013, there was a big push to do mobile advertising. And then in 2014, what we see is mobile advertising taking over desktop. So as in, there are more mobile users than there are desktop users. And that was in 2014. So you can imagine that here we are in 2020. Everyone's using a mobile phone. It's rare to see people Googling stuff or doing other things on the internet on the desktop. If you're just a casual consumer, you're probably on your mobile phone. I mean, that's where the digital space is moving, is onto mobile. So things like tablets and mobile phones. And if you want to know where to put your money as a small business owner in terms of marketing or advertising, just look to the large corporations. Where are they putting their money for? Where is their budget for marketing and advertising? If they're putting more into mobile phones, then most likely small businesses should probably follow with that. So that's a good tip there. It's a pro tip. If you aren't sure where to put your marketing dollars, just look to the big, large corporations, because that's probably where you should be putting your digital or your marketing budget as well. So Google Ads, let's talk about that. These are some really, just some statistics around Google Ads and what we're seeing in that space. 70% of mobile searches find or will call, I think that my top, I gotta move you guys, you're up the top, so give me 1 second. Okay, so 70% of searches call the business from that Google search. So if they searched you on their mobile phone and they found your business, 70% of those searches will result in a phone call, or 70% of searchers are calling from that mobile search. 86% of consumers find local businesses on Google Ads. That's a pretty big number there. If you think about millennials like myself, I use my phone for everything. I run my business off my phone. I use it to take pictures of my kids. I use it for everything, and I'm not alone. Everyone in our generation is just using our phones all the time. And so when we move to an area we're unfamiliar with and I need a plumber, the first thing that I do is take out my phone and search on Google to find a plumber. And then most likely I will call that plumber right from my mobile phone, which is exactly that 70% there. 98% of searchers will click on a business that's on the first page. So it's less than 2% of people that are going to the next page on a search, especially on mobile. When they scroll down, they barely even scroll down, but if they do, they're not clicking to that next page. And it's very rare that they do, especially if they're looking for a business. Because typically you know what you're looking for when you're looking for a business, and usually it's in the top 3 results, or relatively within the first page at least. So that's a huge number. So if you are a business owner and you need to do some online digital advertising, the goal for you would be to at least be on the first page, and then if not on the first page, really you want to be in the top 3 spots, because as we get down here, 40% of those users click on the first 3 links. That's huge. That's a big number. That means nobody is scrolling down on their phone or on their PC to get closer or to get further down the rank, the search query. So you can't get in within the first 3 links. At least be on the first page. That's my advice to any business owner, is try to get a ranking that's on the first page, or if you can, in the top 3. So businesses that advertise on Google, they usually spend $1, but then they get $2 back. So the idea behind Google is that it pays for themselves. It pays for itself and then some. So there shouldn't be any you're just putting money out and not getting any back. It should be, if you're putting money out, you're at least making it back. And if you're not making it back, you're getting more. And then a lot of the times, especially right now during the pandemic, some small business owners have pulled their digital online advertising. And the problem with that is 89% of the traffic that's generated from that is not going to be replaced by organic clicks. So when we talk about SEO or anything that's not paid advertising, if you pull your paid advertising, it's that ranking isn't going to be replaced by the organic search. It's going to be replaced probably by competition. And that feeds into my next slide, which is where we talk about the organic versus Google. So I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with digital advertising at all, but when you're talking about search results or searching and that kind of advertising, there's really two ways to do it. There's SEO, and that's organic. It's search engine optimization. So it's basically working on your website and tweaking it and optimizing it enough so that Google recognizes it as a viable search for whatever was being searched. This takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort sometimes. It takes a good web developer who knows what they're doing. It's generally free of cost unless you're paying somebody to do it. You can still track the ORI, so the return on investment. You can see who's coming in, where your traffic's coming from to your website, who's clicking on what pages are they at, how much time are they spending there, and then also what keywords are they using to find you. Oops, sorry. I will not get past this gesture now. So one of the things that the paid advertising and the organic searches have in common is they help you rank higher. So Google will update their algorithms or their coding on the back end so that how websites are being ranked changes quite often because Google is making those updates to their programming and coding and everything we don't see on the front end as a user of the internet. But these are both very powerful marketing tools. Ideally, as a business owner, you would want to have both of these and have them work really well together in order to get the most out of your online or digital advertising. Google is a PPC, so it's pay per click, at least the way I do it. They're always going to be on top. So in terms of ranking, if there is a paid advertiser and then there's an organic advertiser, the paid advertiser is always going to come above the organic advertiser. And that's just how Google works. So there's not a whole lot of time that goes into the paid advertising, so the Google ads. So as soon as, I can get them up and running and then I, click that they are launched and ready to go, you'll start seeing results instantly. You'll start getting higher rankings during that time or at least the next day. With the organic, it takes time to kind of nurture and grow and make sure that the website is running well, your keywords are matching, and your content in your website is matching the keyword search is being used. So the differences there between time is a big factor. So you're going to see a return on investment through the pay-per-click, the Google ads, much quicker than you will through the search engine optimization, through the organic searches. There's a lot more stuff on here that I can go through, but if you have any questions on organic versus pay-per-click, please don't hesitate to ask. write it in the chat or send me an email, or anything that I didn't cover that you have questions about, please do ask. So one thing I do want to go over is Google My Business. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this really isn't what the presentation is about. But this is important when advertising on Google. So all businesses can have a Google My Business profile, especially if they have a brick and mortar building. And it's important that you do have it, because the problem that I see a lot is that business owners Google will create a business profile for business owners, and the business owner will not have any knowledge of this at all. We see this often as marketers, and I can show you exactly what this looks like. Can you still see my screen? So while we wait for that to load, so what Google does is they take all the information that's already out there on the internet and they compile it together. They realize that there's an address there for a business, and then they've somehow, through whatever other available information that's on the internet, they piece together this picture that is a business with an address, with a phone number, and then Google creates this profile. So this is what it looks like. This is on the side here where my mouse is. This is a Google My Business profile. And this particular business, I don't know who they are. I've never encountered them before. I just was searching stuff and happened to find that they don't actually own this profile. So this is a profile that Google created on its own. The business owner probably has no knowledge that this profile even exists. And a big problem here is that anybody can go on here and put a review. So I can review this business right now without ever having doing business with them, and I can give them a 1-star or a 5-star, and then whatever I want to say is what I can say, and the business owner is completely unaware that even happened. And we do see this, that where it does happen. So it's important for business owners to at least own the profile, even if you're not going to do anything with it. It's better to own it and to know what reviews are coming in so you can respond to it. One of the big things about digital advertising is the reviews. There's a big push and a big focus on that, and Google is taking business owners that have higher reviews and putting them up higher on the rankings. So if you have a Google My Business profile and you have a 5 out of 5 stars on your reviews through your Google My Business profile, you're going to rank higher than your competition who might have a 3 out of 5 stars. So that's one of the things I did want to talk about, because it is something that I do see often, and this is something that I can help with too. I do offer training on how to set up a Google My Business profile, how to manage it or maintenance it. I can manage it for you. If you are a business owner and you like to be hands off, and that's not something you want to do regularly, you can turn it over to me and I will manage it for you. I can show you how to stand out from your competition, things to do that can optimize it so that it is always ranking higher than your competition. And how we can still use keyword phrases to get you a higher ranking that does set you apart from your competition. And the Google My Business profile is a free profile. All business owners can have them and should have them, as you've seen. It's important that you should be aware of the reviews that are being put on your business. I can show you best practices too. So the best way to get the most out of your Google My Business profile. So something to keep in mind there. And then, so just talking more about Google Ads, what is it? It's basically an advertising program that Google put together. There's a whole platform around it. And there's different kinds of searches or different kinds of advertising you can do through Google. The main one that I do and really do exclusively is the search network campaign. So basically when somebody types in a keyword phrase into Google, like plumbers near me, then I'm going to get that business, that plumber, to rank higher, so they are seen to the person searching that keyword phrase. You can do display advertising. So basically, if somebody's on a website and they have a space to put a display advertisement, um, you can create those advertisements you would put in those spaces. I don't do that specifically. That's not my expertise, and that's not where I find that you're going to get the most out of your dollar here with Google Ads. And there are shopping campaigns as well. So if you are in a retail business, this is probably one that you would want to focus on. Again, it's not something I am an expert in, so I tend to steer away from them. However, there are others that are experts in that area and that can really help you with that. So if you are a retail business, the shopping campaigns are probably what you want to be focusing on. You can do video advertising, so anything on YouTube, people watching YouTube videos. You can have a YouTube video, when this advertisement comes up when you're trying to watch your YouTube video and you always have to click skip ad. Somebody is creating those and putting those on YouTube, and it's through the Google Ads platform. So again, not something I do, but somebody else does do them and does have expertise in them. So depending on your business and what it is that you offer, that might be something you want to look into. And then there's also app advertising. So when you're on your phone, you're using an app, you've seen those advertisements too. People are creating those and putting those there, and it's all through the Google Ads platform. Again, it's not something that I focus on because I'm not an expert in it, but there are others that do them. And if you have questions about those, I do know people that have answers. I might not have an answer on those myself, but I can get those for you. Again, I focus on the search advertising. So anytime somebody's typing in a search and there's an advertisement that pops up from that search, that's me. That's what I'm focusing on. And then let's see, how does this work? Okay, well, basically, this is all to drive business to your website. So in order to advertise on Google through the search network, you have to have a website. Otherwise, there's really no point to doing it. And really, it's to drive traffic to your website. So when somebody puts in those keyword searches, your website is being put directly in front of that person. And then the goal in mind is for them to click on your website. Once they click on your website, then the goal in mind is to get them to call you or to fill out a submission form, basically to get more leads. And then that obviously will translate into more revenue. If the more phone calls you get, the more form submissions you get, the more leads in revenue you're going to get. So that's really the goal in mind with Google advertising, is to put your business in front of the consumer that's already looking for you, to get them to call you based on your advertising, how your ads look, how your website looks, and the end goal is to get more revenue. So how do I manage them? So there are requirements for you to be a client of mine. There are some requirements. Firstly, I look for local service providers. So if you are a business and you're providing a service, so like lawn maintenance, plumbing, electrician, HVAC, financial planning, maybe you're a lawyer, all those are service-based industries, and that is where my focus is at. One of the things that Google really looks at is a quality website. So if you are going to advertise on Google, the website is really important because it's going to factor in the amount of cost. So if you have a poor quality website, you're going to pay more and probably you're not going to get as much traffic. But so it's important that we have a good quality website. It's important that you own the website. So there are domains, like you can create free websites on Google, and unfortunately that just doesn't work with Google advertising because we don't have access to the back end to set up certain things that need to be set up to track what's happening with Google Ads. So like I said, back-end access is important. So either I have to have back-end access myself, or I have to go through your web developer so that we can correctly and accurately set up some things on the back end to track how we're converting with Google Ads. And then we need access to Google Analytics. So this is a really great tool, actually, Google Analytics. If you are unfamiliar with it, or you don't have it or have not set it up for your website, this is a good time to do so. And I'm happy to answer any questions for you. It's free, there's no costs. It's a great way to just get an idea of who's coming to your website, how long are they staying there, what pages are they visiting, and then you can get some insight on what pages do we need to update? You know, like, are people just coming and leaving? And if that's the case, how do we change our website up? How do we change our content up so that they stay on our website? So Google Analytics is one thing as a business owner that we should be setting up for our websites. Oops. And then so there will be some things that we need to change to get the most out of our Google Ads. So we might have to change some wording of things, or change where things are located on the website. So just if a business owner is looking to do Google Ads, it's helpful if they're open to changes or suggestions on their website. And then if we meet those requirements, we can do an onboarding process, and I've kind of highlighted it here. So basically we'll do like a profile of your business. What service do you want to advertise for? What is your budget? What is your strategy here? What is your end goal? So that's all things that we'll discuss. You know, and this onboarding process takes place after a contract has already been signed. So we've already agreed to do business together, me helping you do Google management. After it's signed, we'll have a bunch of conversations on strategy, the focus, and that stuff. And then we'll do a first payment. And during that first payment is when I will set some things up on the back end, like I talked about. So conversions and making sure that the website is where we need to be, setting up the campaigns. And when I get the campaigns all set up, I'll send them over to the business owner, and the business owner will approve them. And once we've agreed upon the campaigns that we are putting together, then we'll run them. And then there'll be post onboarding where I will review them daily, weekly, and make sure that we're getting the most out of our Google advertising. I see that there's a question there. I'm gonna answer all questions at the end. So keep those questions in mind. Where are we going here? Okay, so these are just some more management that I'm doing. On my end, I'm reviewing the daily budget, making sure we're staying within the daily budgets. The bid changes every day, so PPC is pay per click. So when somebody clicks on your advertisement because they searched the business through, they searched it and then clicked on it, that's the pay per click. And that click can cost anywhere from $1 to, I've seen, upwards of $50 just for one click. And it really depends on your competition. Small business owners do not really need to be worried about a $50 click because you're not advertising in all of the United States. And most likely, if you're local in a small area, your competition is not as much as maybe the whole state. So that budget does not need to be as large as like Home Depot or whatever big box company you can think of. But the bids do change on a daily basis. And so I'm in there optimizing those bids and making sure that we're ranking higher so that we can get more conversions, more people coming to traffics, more people coming to your website, driving more traffic to your website. There's a question here, do the algorithms change regularly? So Google changes it all the time. It's hard to say when they even are changing it because it's not like they put out an announcement that they're changing it. It's just kind of like all of a sudden it's changed, and now marketers have to rethink their strategy and go from there. A Google Plus, so I see that that's another question. How important is a Google Plus account? So Google Plus is not even in existence anymore. And that's how fast things change, because I remember that being a really big thing a few years ago, and everybody needed to have it. And it's basically like your Facebook profile on Google, and now it's gone. It doesn't even exist anymore. Now it is the Google My Business profile that I talked about. So those two questions kind of go hand in hand there. How often do they change it? Often. Even the Google Ads platform changes every quarter, I'd say. You know, there's always something different, something new that's being added that we as marketers sometimes find a hard time keeping up with, because it's constantly changing. So part of the other part of management is reviewing the ads, making sure that they're performing well, and then also my business owners all have access to their Google Ads accounts. They can see everything that I'm doing, and then they all get a monthly report. And then if they wanted, you know, more than a monthly report, they could get that too. And I'm really big about transparency. You know, you as a business owner being able to see what I'm doing and how that's helping your business. That's really what it comes down to. If this isn't helping your business, if it's costing you more money than it's bringing in, then this isn't the right kind of advertising that you should be doing. Let's see. So why do clients choose me? I would say one thing is my transparency, which I just talked about. I like to educate the business owner on the digital advertising or the Google Ads. The more educated they are, the easier it is for me to do my job. And I want them to be, you know, maybe not an expert like me, but have some basic knowledge so that they understand what I'm talking about when I say PPC or I say CTR or any of those terms or phrases that marketers tend to throw out and assume that the business owners knows what we're talking about, when in all actuality, they probably don't. And so I would encourage you as a business owner that if a marketer is doing that to you, that you stop them and say, "Whoa, I have no idea what you're talking about." When they talk about impressions to your website or impressions or clicks to your website, not all business owners know that. So it's important to me that you as a business owner, you do know that stuff. And all those questions can be answered, and I'll try to answer them as they come. I'm not the greatest at it, but I do try. What else? So mathematics is a really powerful tool that I have in my arsenal. I'm able to find patterns within data, and that's really what marketing is becoming now. It's all about the data. Where is my target audience? Who are they? How old are they? Where are they located? All these questions can be answered by just having a website for your business. And that's where the Google Analytics account comes in and is a really powerful tool. Just if you're not even going to do online advertising, it's still a powerful tool to understand your audience a little bit better as a business owner. And so my mathematics degree actually helps out really well with this, because I know my way around an Excel spreadsheet pretty well, where I can pull data from Google Analytics and find patterns and where we can optimize certain things based on the data that's there. And one thing I think that separates me from some of the other marketers you might encounter is I specifically and exclusively specialize in the Google Ads PPC, where we're doing search advertising. People have asked me, how come I don't do display ads or YouTube videos or any of the other kind of online digital advertising that's available? And honestly, I'm not an expert in it. So I wouldn't even feel comfortable trying to do that kind of advertising for somebody, because I don't know enough about it. And I kind of feel strongly about those that just kind of try to do it and they don't know that much about it. It's not easy to become an expert, because you can Google stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be an expert in it, unfortunately. And as a business owner, we all wear many different hats. And sometimes our marketing budget does not open up to allowing an expert to come in and do this stuff for us. And so we do tend to try to Google things to just, work our way through it enough to get by. And sometimes that works, and sometimes you're spending more money than actually bringing in from it. And I'm still learning this as a new business owner, that I do wear many different hats, and I can't always Google my way through stuff, that sometimes an expert is probably better. Oh yeah, let's do a short demo. And then I'll answer some of the questions I see in the chat there. So this is basically what I do. So right now, I have a well water. I have a well, and it's time to get maintenance on it. So I just did a search, well water maintenance. And this is the kind of Google advertising that I do. So if somebody is searching using a keyword phrase to search a business, exactly the way I did, I am providing these advertisements. So we can see my well water maintenance search resulted in these results. So these links to websites. We've got Wolverine water treatment. This is an advertisement. You can tell by the ad, the words ad there. And you can see that this is a really well advertisement here. They're making use of all of the characters that you can use in a text ad. They are making use of these site links. So it's even telling me I can get a free water test, so I can click right on that and it'll take me to that specific part of their website. And you can see that this Wolverine water treatment is taking up a lot of real estate on the search result. So if we look further down, this home advisor is not taking up much real estate at all. Probably because they're, it's home advisor. It's not actually a business. It's linking to other businesses, and so they don't need the full text like the Wolverine water treatment does. So all Google advertising comes at the top, and if it's doing it the correct way, if you're a small business owner and your Google advertisement is optimized and doing really well, performing really well, you'll be in these top 3 spots. Then we should have the organic searches. However, I don't, or the Google My Business profiles, which I don't see on this particular search. And then we get into the organic searches. So this is where we do SEO, the search engine optimization. So everything that's coming after the advertisement. And there's not very many of those organic searches, because as we scroll down further, there's even more advertisements. And we talked about how 98% of users only pick the link on the first page. So there's 6 links that are paid advertisements and even less organic searches. And not all of the organic searches are businesses. This is the CDC talking about how you can maintenance your well, or what the guidelines are around the CDC for maintaining your well. This is another one. These are not businesses. These are I'm not sure what all of these are, but these are not businesses. You can see the advertising is at the top. So that's one of the reasons why I focus on the Google advertising in place of the search engine optimization, because it really depends on your competition. And with Google advertising, you make your own competition, or you at least have a good grasp on what your competition is, so that you can manipulate it and do it yourself and get ahead of them. Whereas the search engine optimization, or the organic way of doing online advertising, does not always offer up what your competition is doing, and you have no way of actually knowing if you're going to even pop for a search, because a search like this resulted in organizations that talk about maintaining your well on your own rather than the business maintaining the well for me. So just stuff like that. Then I do want to talk about the importance of mobile friendly. So I'm going to switch over to what that looks like. and why. So this is what it looks like on a mobile phone. Hopefully everybody can see that. It's basically changed the way, and you can see this advertisement is taking up a lot of space on my mobile phone. So these other businesses, these other advertisers are lucky if I scroll down, because this business has got everything I need right here. I can get a free water test. His phone number is not on. Oh, it is. So his phone number is right there. I can click right on it from my mobile phone. It's so easy for me to just click this number and call this advertiser or this business and get exactly what I need. There's no need for me to scroll beyond this because I have what I need right here. And it's taking up a lot of real estate. So this is the importance of having an expert do it, because most of the time, some people that try to do it end up having more of an advertisement that looks like this. They're not making use of the links to other pages on their page or any of the other offerings that Google Ads does offer. So that's the importance of mobile, and Google does tend to give way to more mobile-friendly websites and more mobile-friendly searches, because it's then they get more traffic too. If they get you more traffic, then they get more money. So if they, they're getting paid based on how many clicks you get. So if the more clicks you get, the more money they get. So they're going to give way to the best advertisement that they can find on the internet for that search, because like I said, the more money you get, the more money they get as well. Let's see, let's go back a second. The platform. Okay, so this is what Google Ads actually looks like. This is a platform that I use. It's not very user-friendly. Even I struggle with it. Navigation is not easy at all. And there's no information in here because this is a demo site, so I can't show you what it looks like. But usually this is a line graph, and you can put anything in here that you want, the number of clicks or the number of conversions, and you can see, in a time in the month of April where you're getting spikes in conversions and where you're getting most clicks, and it's a platform to do your Google advertising, and it's what I use to do it. I can create ads. This is the text ad. So if I choose this, this is where we can start advertising, and I can, we put in everything in here: your headlines, your descriptions, your URL. You can put in phone numbers. This when you're building this. So I'll just say like demo 1. It fills it in for me, so you can see that it's showing up over here. So I know exactly what it's going to look like when it's in performance, and and the point is to use so we get 90 characters down here. We want to use as many of those 90 characters that we can. And usually the content comes from your website, because if you have an advertisement that works really well with your website and the content is matching up, then that's more likely you're going to get ranked higher. One of the other reasons why it's good to have an expert work on it, because they can make your website and your ads cohesive. Let's see. The last thing I want to show you is some reporting. So this is the report that I provided to a client of mine. He was doing advertising before me. He worked with another agency. And this is what they did for him. So he got 5 conversions, which means that 5 people called him or filled out a submission form on his website. He spent just over $7,000. Now, don't let that number scare you, because this guy is a lawyer, and he has to have a really large budget, because his keyword searches are like $20 a search. The cost per click is $20 per click. Most businesses have anywhere from $3 to $5 on average, depending on the industry. And so that's not, you don't need a budget of $7,000. This guy just has it because he has to. And one of the things we look at is the click-through rate. So CTR is what we shorten it to. And we're usually looking for a click-through rate of like 3 or 4%. So the click-through rate is out of all the times your advertisement is served up off the search engine. This is called an impression. So this advertisement was served up based on the keyword search, and this is now an impression. So Google is counting all of those impressions every time it's served up through the search engine. And then how many times do people click on it? Actually click on the ad itself. So the click-through rate is the click divided by the number of impressions. And so you're looking for a click-through rate of like 3 to 4%. So your impression has showed up, is going to show up quite a bit more than it's actually clicked on. But the closer you can get those numbers together, the more clicks you get per impressions, the better your CTR is going to look. So we are always looking for higher CTRs, and in this case, it's less than 1%, which is really not great at all. I'm surprised he got 5 conversions from that because it's not great. And so when we flip over to February, where I took it over, we can see a higher click-through rate in the 4% range, which is where we tend to see it as marketers, and where that average should be across all industries, really. And then we see that his cost went down by half, and for the same number of conversions. So he got the same number of phone calls from December to February. He paid half the amount that he did from December to February, and his click-through rate went up 4 times, more than 4 times. So this is the kind of results that I'm looking for as a marketer, and what I would want, what I'm striving for business owners to be getting. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can add on this. I don't think so. So that's what I have for the demo and the reporting. And these are just, so I see there's a question here. How many businesses do you represent, and what is the average cost? Okay, so before the pandemic occurred, I had 4 clients. I had one that was a lawyer. I had one that was in urgent care. I had an automotive, a mechanic, and then I had a collision business. And the average cost for all of those differ because of the industry that they're in and the competition that they have. Generally speaking, and this is very vague and very general, $5 per click is usually an average cost. So every time somebody's clicking on this link, it's going to cost maybe $5. That's on average across all industries. So if you want to get into specifics, I would really need to do an audit of your competition and see what kind of advertising that they're doing to really answer that question of what is the average cost. My management fee is, it depends on how many campaigns we're running. So I do have my own fee aside from Google advertising. Google, you have to put in a budget for Google, and then it's my management fee on top of that. And it depends on what we're doing. So if we're doing, one campaign, then your management fee isn't going to be as much if we're doing 3 campaigns. And if you want these questions answered, the best way to get them answered is to probably contact me directly, and so we can have a conversation about that, because it's easier for me to know what your industry is so that I can get a better idea of what the cost is going to be for you. It's kind of like the stock market in that way, which changes every day. It's different across industries, and there's really no handle on it at all. But the bottom line of all this is online advertising is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's growing, and especially so since this pandemic. I think the smart business owners are looking to get their businesses online. So because we can't be together in person, and the best way to do that is through digital advertising. Digital advertising is now becoming all about the data, whether it's online or not online. It's all about who your audience is and how you can get to them and target them much better than what advertising used to be. And there's a big focus on being mobile friendly because everything is going on mobile phones. The higher the ranking, higher rankings do matter. If you're down at the bottom of the page, you're less likely to get as much traffic to your website. There is a thing called smart campaigns that Google has for small business owners, and I tell all business owners to stay clear of that because it's really just the easiest way to just hand Google money. And that's what Google wants. They want you to come on there being a small business owner. That's not your niche. That's not your industry. And so it's a really easy way to kind of basically manipulate you into thinking that you're getting something and you're probably not getting as much as you thought you were. What I like to tell business owners is, if you're thinking about doing a smart campaign, you're better off just not doing Google advertising really at all, because I would rather you keep your money than hand it over to Google. And I specialize in the search campaigns, and my job is to connect the consumer with the service provider. So if there's a consumer looking for a business, my job is to get that business in front of that consumer. And I do have a few action items for you business owners. Try putting in some of your own key phrases into the Google search to search your business. Do it in a private or an incognito mode, because then then it's not going to memorize your search results, and you'll get a more accurate portrayal of what a user is searching for your business. And just see where you rank. Are you on the first page? Are you on the second page? Are you at the bottom? Are you at the top? Those kinds of things. Check to see if you have a Google My Business profile. Make sure you own it. If you don't own it, now is a good time to create one. If you didn't know you had one and Google created one for you, do you have reviews? And then the last action item is check your website and make sure it's mobile friendly and loads quickly. Because even if you're not doing Google advertising, these things can help you, even without that. And with that, I can answer some questions. So I have some in the chat already, and I'm going to try to get to them. There was one that was really early on. Okay, here's one. Website is critical to your business. Will Wix site work? Many people on Facebook page. I'm assuming that's on. Okay, a website is critical to your business. Yes, absolutely. Even though you might not have a business that relies on online digital advertising, your consumers might rely on Google to find you. So one thing I will say is that millennials like me, we're up and coming. Now is our time. We've been in the workforce now I have for 7 years, and the millennials that are older than me have been so for over a decade now. We are the biggest population, the biggest generation in the workforce right now. And that's huge. We're no longer little kids. We are full-grown adults with children, with jobs, with mortgages, and we have needs for your businesses. And the way we are finding your business is online. So I would say that every business owner should have a website. Obviously, there's various ways you can do this. There's free ways, there's expensive ways. Either way, you should have a website, and I would say more so than a Facebook page. I can't tell you how many times I looked for a small business and was only able to find a Facebook page. And if you're Googling a business, I'm not going to find that Facebook page just by Googling a business. I'm the only way I'm going to find it is if you have your own website. Wix does work. I've heard not so great things. I've heard that it's not the best. It's not the most user-friendly. It doesn't help with organic searches as well. There are better platforms than that. And I'm not a website developer, so all I can say is what I've heard in my own industry about this stuff. But I can say that a website is critical to your business. More so than a Facebook page, and there are many different ways you can do that. It's better to have one than to not have one. So if Wix is your platform that you're using, that's better than nothing. I'd like to know more information on how to review and have access to Google Analytics. So Cassie, if you want to send me an email and reach out to me that way, I can help you navigating that space and getting a better grasp on Google Analytics and how to review the data to help you. That is something that I can do, and there wouldn't be a cost for that either. The algorithm, I think I answered that question. I answered the question about how much have the sites asking for recommendations like Highland Matters. Okay, so how much have the sites asking for recommendation like Highland Matters changed the way people choose business? So before I got into Google Ads, this is how I would find businesses. Is I would go on a Google or a Facebook group, a local one like Highland Matters, and I'd say, hey, I need a plumber. And what's nice is people just serve them up. They say, hey, I worked with this guy in the past. Here you go. Here's his phone number. Here's his Facebook page. And, you know, it is a nice feature. However, what I found, it's hit or miss. It's I've asked the Facebook group for lawn maintenance, and I got like 50 results from people. Some had the same, you know, some were posted more than others. And what I found is that even the one that had the most people saying that was not a, you know, I called them and they didn't even answer the phone. So this kind of comes up to you as a business owner and making sure that you're there, because the problem I see with people answering those recommendation questions that we see in Highland group or the Highland Matters group is that they're not going to represent your business the way you would represent your business. They're not going to post a link to your website. They're not necessarily going to post a link to your page. And most likely it's a friend or a family member, and they may or may not be the business that person actually wants to work with. And so that's the biggest problem I see, is that the person doing the recommendation is not even the business owner, and they're not going to represent the business owner or the business the way the business owner would themselves. And with that said, I've stopped asking for recommendations on Facebook, on the Facebook groups, because I find that they're not always, it's not always the best way to do it. That doesn't stop people from doing it, unfortunately. And it's not the worst. It does help get businesses, but you can't rely on that either, because you have no idea who is searching for you, and if you're even going to see it. Is there a way to find out what keywords people are searching for that? Okay, is there a way to find keywords people are searching that generates our business to pop up? Yeah, if you're using Google Analytics, it should give you a pretty good idea of what keywords people are using to find your business. And that's the importance of having a website and finding out what traffic is coming to your website and why. How do we know if your keywords are effective to guide people to our website? That's a good question. That's a great question. So everything I do is through Google Advertisement through that platform I showed you, and it's tracking everything. It's tracking the impressions, it's tracking the conversions, it's tracking the clicks, it's tracking how many times people call you on the phone, how many times people fill out your form submission on your website. It's tracking everything. And that's one of the biggest advantages to Google Ads, is because I can tell you exactly if a keyword phrase is even being searched, or if it's not being searched at all. And if it's not being searched at all, then we obviously don't want to bid on it. And we want to change that up. We want to change it so that the keyword phrases we're bidding on are actually being searched. And this is where Google Analytics comes into play. And this is a great way that Google Ads can help small businesses, because it does give you a better idea of who your audience is, how they're finding you, especially online, and what it is exactly that they're looking for when they do find you. And like I said, transparency is a big thing for me. So anything I see, I'm going to share with you. If you are a client of mine and you're a small business owner, you're going to have access to your own Google Ads platform, where you can go in and you can actually see the impressions that we talked about, the clicks, the conversions, who's calling you, what are they calling you? All these questions can be answered. There's thousands of different data points that Google can bring in, just by getting your business in the digital space. Next question, how do you quickly get to an official site of something as opposed to a third-party business? I guess I'm not quite sure what this question is asking. How do you quickly get to an official site? Oh, okay, so like through Home Advisor. I'm not as familiar with Home Advisor, but I've not heard the best things, that it's hit or miss. So people will either like it or they don't like it, and they either go to it to find a small business or they don't go to it to find a small business. I don't know, I've never done any advertising through Home Advisor or partnered with them, and I have not heard the best things, that it's the partnership is based on that relationship, and that's how you get found on that third party site. And honestly, you're putting your business in the control of Home Advisor, and you're not really taking control of it on yourself. So you're relying on Home Advisor to serve up that ad, and then you're kind of you're like throwing a target blind, because you're throwing a dart blind, because you don't know if once they get into Home Advisor, they're still even going to see your business, if that makes sense. I hope I answered that question, I think. The next question is, how do you go? Okay, so here's the second part of that question. I mean, if you're searching Ticketmaster, for example, a ton of related businesses are shown. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I misinterpreted the question. So this is more of the display ads, and that's not something I really do. But the return on investment for those are not great. So the problem with those that we see as marketers, and what I've heard in my industry, is that Google is not always great at determining the that advertisement should even be there. And there's no way to control it. You kind of lose, you lose your control over where those ads are being served and how often they're being served. And a lot of times people will click on them and didn't mean to click on them at all. And I don't know about you, but as a user, I do not like display ads. They get in the way. They're right in front of where I'm trying to read sometimes, and usually it's not something that I even need. It's like a real estate advertisement, and I have no need to move from my home right now. So it's like going back to those flyers that we send in the mail. You're kind of just throwing it out there to see if somebody picks up on it, and sometimes they do, but most often than not, they don't. And that gets back to where the ROI is, the return on investment. You're giving money to that stuff, but it doesn't always come back to you. Where the search ads that I do, it should pay for itself because we're serving up ads to people that are already looking for you rather than just putting your business out there and seeing if somebody wants to come to you. The next question, how do you go into invisible mode into the Google search? That's a great question. So I'll switch over to my Google here. Right here, if you're in Chrome, this is Chrome. All browsers are a little bit different, but this in Chrome, if I click on these dots here, it brings up a menu, and I can click on New Incognito Window. So then it brings me up to this. And this makes it so Google knows nothing about me. It doesn't remember any of the other searches I've ever done before in my life, so I can even search for myself. So I just put Google Ads near me. This is my Google My Business profile, and I don't have any paid advertising, so you're not going to see that. You are going to see a lot of Google's own links to themselves, which is fine. You put in the words Google Ads, and that's really what's going to pop up. So that was a good question. Hopefully that helped. It's different for every browser. Like I said, Google or the Chrome is right here in this menu. And you can do it on your phone too. There should be an option on your mobile phone to click to a private or incognito viewing. And this way, this is the best way to search for your own business because it's not going to remember your previous searches. And so it won't try to think what it is that you're looking for. It'll just randomly pull up a search. And that's what you want if you're gonna try to search for your business. Are there any other questions? Maybe we can even unmute some people to kind of, ask questions outside of the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Go for it. Was there a question? Somebody said something.
I've got a question. Are you sharing this presentation?
I think I'm unmuted. Hold on. Yeah, I am sharing this presentation. I'm recording it right now on Zoom.
I see. Yeah, I love it. Okay, like the handouts. It sort of said the action steps of what you need to do.
I can get a PDF for you, and I can.
Okay.
You know what? Let's just do this. Let me do this. Where did I put it? Let me get the chat out of the way here. I will take a screenshot of it and I'll try to put it in the chat. How's that?
Great. Perfect.
Where's my chat now? There it is. It takes a minute for me sometimes too to get my bearings when navigating, and all business or all the going from the Mac and the PC, it's all different. It's all the time it's different. Let me see if I can just drop it in there like that. Oh, hold on. I think this is the one. Let me know if you guys get it. Did it pop up in the chat?
Not it. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
I do. I have it.
I see it. I have
I
it.
see it.
I
Yeah.
have it.
okay.
It must be. I'm on my phone, so maybe someone can share it with me. I have limited options on the phone.
You know what? I will share it. I'll share it with you, Sherry.
Thank you.
There we go.
I can leave it. I mean, I can leave it up here too, so you can just
Yeah.
write it down too.
There you go. I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Any other questions?
No.
No,
Okay.
this is fantastic. The chatting and the interacting. Thank you for answering all the questions. This was so educational and informative. I can't wait to go look at my Google Analytics And it's so funny because every now and then I'll put something on my Google Plus, and that was just a waste of time, but it's still out there. This was great.
Perfect. That makes me happy to hear, because it makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it was my pleasure to put this presentation together for all of you, and thank you, Amy, for recording it, because I'm probably going to put it on my Facebook page, so that other business owners can access it and have a good presentation to come back to when they have questions about Google advertising.
Yeah, I will put this on. I think I'm going to put it on our YouTube channel. I'm learning. I'm marginally tech savvy. That's what I would say. I'm marginally tech savvy. The reason I asked the question about websites is because I've had a couple of our members say, well, I don't have a website, I have a Facebook page, and that should be sufficient. And I am a big proponent. A couple of years ago, we had Accunet, which is a website designer. We had them come in, and she spoke to us, and she said, the difference between a website and a Facebook page is you own all of the information on your website. And for me, as a control freak, I was like, yes, I want to own it all. And and I say that jokingly, but in reality, that becomes my opinion of what my business is versus someone else's. And it is the information that I put out there for everyone else. And that's why I ask, I'm not a huge fan of Wix, but I know it's free. And I know that it's fairly simple if you're not tech savvy to put out. So that's why I ask, is something better than nothing?
Yes, absolutely.
But I will say, and not to plug, obviously this is all about Google Ads, but if you need a website, call Accunet. Our website is through them. WODA's website is through them. I believe the DDA is through them. They are inexpensive compared to many other organizations, and their website is their templates are very, very nice and very user friendly. And if you are not an expert, that user friendly piece is invaluable. So, but yeah, they're great. And so if you could work with Elizabeth and work with Accunet, you would have the whole digital marketing sewn up. I mean, seriously.
So one thing I'll add there, Amy, is your website does not have to be a full-fledged 5-page, just, full of content thing that's going on there. So any web developer that's trying to sell you on that, it's not necessarily a need. Really, you can get away with a 1-page website, and if you're going to do Google, the Google ads and the 1-page website go really well together, because Google likes things that load quickly. If your website is huge and has multiple pages, multiple images, and lots of different content, or tools or plugins or whatever else it is, it's not going to load as quickly, and Google's not going to serve it up on their search engine result as well. And so those 1-page websites are actually better when doing Google advertising, and they go really well hand in hand. So it's not something that needs to be very, very expensive. You can get away with a 1-page website that just says who you are, has your contact information in it, and looks pretty. And then other than that, that's all you really need. I do see that there's a couple more questions here. May the Highland DDA make your presentation available to our downtown business? I guess, yes, please do so. Yes, that would be great. I'd love that. How often should you update your website? That's a good question. Probably, I revisit it every 6 months, my website, to just, I realize right now that on my website, I say that I've been working in the corporate world for 6 years, and I need to update that to 7, because now that year has passed. So I try to just look at it over every 6 months or so and update content. As far as how it looks, it should be every couple years, because the way things look changes all the time, and very quickly in a digital space. If you haven't updated your website in more than 5 years, it's probably time. And this question is for Amy.
Yeah, for sure. Please do. Please share it. I mean, to all of you, share it out. While I'm sorry, Elizabeth, but while you were presenting, I was also putting on Facebook little teasers about the things that I was learning from Google Ads, because I mean, this is really fascinating to me. I have this much knowledge about. I'm kind of a. I always tell Sally, we'll muddle through, and it's kind of true. Being an expert is rare these days. So having this wealth of knowledge is really, this is an invaluable presentation to me. Thank you.
Good. I'm so glad for that.
I found it helpful as a consumer as well. So I'm kind of the oddball here where, you know, I operate a nonprofit and we don't have a service per se, like it's educational classes and talking tips and family development and things, but like I'm not trying to sell a product. I'm not trying to get you to pay for anything. So for us, it's really hard to get, you know, marketing out there because I need more brand recognition than anything.
Right.
And to be looked at as an expert compared to like trying to sell a service. But as a person, if you don't have a website when I'm researching your business, you take a step down from me. Like I question how legit you are if you only have a Facebook page, you know, when like you said, looking for, you know, septic or whatever. And so it really helps to understand how that works too, because now as a consumer, I'm going to be better, you know, with information and understanding Google and how that kind of stuff works. And then wanting to partner with businesses that I can see put the effort in to try to get noticed and things like that versus someone that just is, you know.
For you as a nonprofit, it is, I would look for businesses that have legitimate websites and not just a website where they don't even own their domain. I would look for businesses that actually own their domain, because it's so with digital advertising, I don't know you personally. I can't talk to you as a person. Your first impression to me is your website. If you don't have a website, there is no impression. If you if your website is out of date, maybe 5 years or more, then that's your first impression to me. And a lot of consumers, a lot of users will decide if they're working with a business within less than 7 seconds of just looking at the website. And it's really, it's not even scrolling on the page. It's just looking at that first part that pops up. And that is huge. That is huge. We see huge corporations dumping money into website design and online marketing tools that track data points, because the way that those things are looking is so important. And it's something that's easily overlooked, especially for a small business owner, especially for some of the business owners that have been in business for 30 years, where their business is completely organic or physical traffic, or they just have their clientele. And unfortunately, us millennials, we don't have that. So we have to create that. And the best way to do it is online and through digital advertising with websites. So for your nonprofit, I would look, if you're going to partner with businesses, I would definitely do so with businesses that have websites established and own their domain. And there are tools for you as a nonprofit. The Google My Business you can have.
Yep, we've got it.
Yeah, perfect. And as long as you're maintaining that, you should be able to still rank higher on the Google searches.
Yeah, we're top 3.
Yep. And then I do know that Google does offer, incentives for nonprofits, but I'm not as familiar with them. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I think that you have to be an established and a really big organization in order to get any of those benefits, but they are available.
No, this is helpful.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that. Hopefully I didn't use too many industry jargon that was not understood by some of you business owners. I try to define it so that it's easier to digest for people that are not in my industry. But thank you so much for coming on here and spending your lunchtime with me. And doing this presentation with me. It's good for me. I do enjoy doing this Google advertising. It is my side business. And like I said, the goal is to transition into this 100%. So, and this is going to help with that. So thank you for being here and sharing your lunch with me.
Thank
Well,
you
thank you.
too.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you all. Thank you again for joining.
See you.